Hey, thanks for watching. This is episode 3 of the Be Better Golf podcast. If you're watching this, it's on YouTube, and if you're not, it's on Telegram. That's the only place to listen to it is on Telegram right now, but I'll be opening it up to all platforms in about a week. With me, I have my normal contributor, Timothy Lowe, from joining us from Singapore. Timothy is the what's your title for the Asian tour? Like color
I'm the bloke
announcer?
with the mic on the Asian tour.
Okay,
Just commentator. Any
right.
commentator.
Commentator for the Asian Tour and Asian Tour player Rory Hie, a Southern California and Indonesia native. Rory used to live right by where I am. If you're just meeting somebody that is not even into golf and they say, "Oh, what do you do for a living, Rory?" How do you usually tell them what you do?
I just play golf tournaments for money. That's about it.
Pro golfer.
Yeah.
Rory's been on the channel before. Last time he was on was about 4 years ago, I think. Him and I played at Hartwell. I'll try to link it in this video, which is a par 3 course. When I met you, you were going through kind of a swing, like swing change or a discovery. And anytime I mention, oh yeah, my friend Rory who plays on the Asian Tour, they go, oh yeah, Rory. Like he really likes to get into the weeds of all the different techniques, always looking for the next best thing. When you have that kind of mindset, and that's most people who watch Be Better Golf have that kind of mindset. They're looking for the next thing that's going to make them level up. You know, not even just like refine their skills as they are, but get to that next level. When you have that kind of mindset, how do you get better without getting yourself stuck and getting actually worse?
Yeah, that was about last time we played was like about 100 swing changes ago. So I don't know
Right.
so I talk my time frame is how many swing changes ago was that? Yeah, I mean I like to tinker. I mean the only way to get better sometimes is, you gotta experiment a little bit, but you when you go down the rabbit hole, you just gotta know when to come back out of it. You kind of have to go down with a rope almost, um, just to make sure. Okay, this is what I did before. I'm gonna try this thing for like a week. I mean, if it doesn't go well, I'm gonna test it on the course, test it in a money game with friends, maybe play like a small tournament, and you can tell basically if this thing is gonna go, if this thing has prospect to it, or if I should ditch it right away. But basically, what I'm trying to find is basically I'm trying to find, let's say, I just got up out of that bed and someone told me to hit a shot. What am I gonna like? Which swing am I gonna use? I'm gonna try to find something that feels the most comfortable to me. That I know that whatever circumstance I'm under, I will use that swing or that whatever feel it is that I want to use. That's basically what I do when I tinker. I want to find the best feel for me that I can take to the golf course during the tournament. Also, like for people who tinker too much, I feel like after you've gone like through some swing changes and you find the one that you like, it's best to try to move away from mechanics. And especially if you're trying to peak at a tournament, probably like a couple weeks before, you try to focus more on course management and also on pre-shot routine is a big key to try to detach yourself away from mechanics. And I think one of the reasons why I won the Asian Tour event 3 years ago was because I was really into that stuff with Laurie, who was the head coach at the time in Indonesia, and he was into that stuff about pre-shot routine and more of the philosophical side and mental side of the game in golf.
Like getting lost in the process.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It wasn't 100% mental. Like on the plane, it towards India actually.
So we should let me just
Yeah.
recap before. So Rory had gone to he was a really good junior golfer in this area, and then he had gone to USC, University of Southern California, and was an All-American there, and it was going so well that he said, "Let's turn pro," and came out well, but then kind of maybe stalled for a little bit, but the pro golf career was still going on pretty well, and then was on and off the Asian tour, but had a really breakthrough win in India. So that brings us up to what you were going to talk about with this kind of a swing change that happened, or a swing thought that happened on this plane ride to India.
Yeah, swing changes. It's like it's funny with swing changes. Like you got to categorize it, right? You got to categorize it. Swing changes that only work that day, swing changes that work for a week, or swing changes that work for a month, right? That the one that I had in India it probably lasted about 2-3 months. Just that one swing that one swing thought, and it was actually on the plane is where I have my best like golfing epiphanies, okay? Because you have no Wi-Fi, right? And I was just like going through all my swings from past years and looking at all my swing changes and stuff. And I came across this tip that I saw, not a tip, but kind of like Xander was giving European Tour some sort of like a tip for like how to gain more distance. And one of the tips that he gave was the step drill. So I kind of started doing it in India, and all of a sudden, like, it took my mind off of what I was working on, and I just solely focused on that one thing, my footwork. And
So that's kind of like Xander, as he's taking the club back, he's stepping forward with the left foot.
yeah, it's kind of the drill. Essentially it was the drill that he did that made the difference for me, because the drill was, your stance is, however wide apart it is, and then you kind of, once you start, you put your left foot together with your right foot, and then you put the club back like about a foot or so, right? And then from there you take it back, and then just before you finish the top of your swing, you start stepping with your left foot. And I don't know, for some reason that week, I think first round, it was the course that we played in was fairly easy. I mean, it was a Jack Nicklaus course, but the rough was really thick. And I managed to hit like 18 greens the first round, and it was kind of windy. I don't know if it was the mental stuff that I was working on with Laurie, or if it was the step drill or whatever. And somehow those two things came together, and I didn't really have to think much on the course. It was more instincts and less mechanics. Just that one thought. You got to have a pet swing thought that you bring with you to the course. You can't just like go to the course and not have any swing thoughts, right? It's kind of like impossible, right? You got to have like,
yeah, it's kind of like if you have zero swing thoughts, then that's a danger that something is going to pop in there. It's not just going to be nothing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Tim, what do you remember from that week? Because you were working that week, weren't you?
Utter shock.
Thanks, Tim.
I was obviously really happy for Rolls. I mean, the dude, as you mentioned, the dude's been a stud for so many years, and to finally see him come through. But like Rory says, how do you tell without slowing something down? I mean, even if you did slow something down, you could take Rory from the 72nd hole at the Classic Golf Club and his shot into that closing hole, and you could take Rory from a couple of weeks ago at the Shinhan, just a random hole, and to the naked eye, unless you had a 7-hour-long plane flight to sort of break it down, you wouldn't be able to tell the two swings apart. But they feel miles apart for Rory, and like Rory very accurately said, he's gone through about 100 swing changes. I joked with him last week in Japan that he with that little beard he's got going now, he looks like he's been lost in the golfing wilderness for the last 6 months trying to find something, and he still hasn't found it. But damn it, get a shave, Rory. I mean,
it's trim.
It was just the fact that he got to that state that every golfer aspires to get to, that flow state of, I don't think how I'm going to do it. I just know that I am going to do it. That's my number. That's my spot. That's what it's going to do. And somehow you just get out of your own way and you allow that to happen. It's easier said than done, but I think, like Rory mentioned, the only way that you get to that is you do it with a feel. No one ever gets to that going, I must get my club in XYZ position at P4 in my backswing, and then magically my ball will appear there. No, it's, like Rory talking about the step drill. It's, okay, what does the step drill mean to me? How does it activate me on the downswing? It could be, the most random thought, like try to hit my right hit with my elbow on the downswing. Any thought works, but it can't be technical. It's all about flow and it's all about feel.
I texted Rory the day after he won, and I just said, how did you do that? And he said, I started using my legs. And I really remember, like, I think it was a lot more athletic feeling than what you had been doing.
Yeah, essentially, like, I kind of relied on the drill. Every shot that I hit in that those 72 holes, except for chip shots, I did the step drill. So I did the drill before.
It was your pre-shot.
It was my pre-shot. And then once I get over the ball, I just hit it right away. I mean, I didn't think about it, but because I knew I had the feel kind of brewing in there in the pre-shot. And then I just, walked up to it and I just hit it. I didn't spend much time over the ball. I kind of want to get that feel going through to the shot, and then it worked really well.
That's an example of a tip that you tried that worked out really well. Tell us something that you tried and you really gave it a good effort, but it was just did not work out for you. Maybe derailed your game for a little while.
There's a lot actually that derailed my game for a
Right. Right.
Well, the latest one was I was trying to feel like Tim's like laughing over there. Like lately there's been a lot of videos of Pete Cowan, more so than previous years, about what his stuff is all about. And one of it was like about squeezing a towel this way, like kind of like a.
Yeah, I saw the video with the one guy, the YouTuber, and he was telling, hey, you squeeze it this way with one hand and opposing forces that way with the other. It was about the inside takeaway.
Yeah.
I don't know if that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I tried that for a while, and the tough thing about that is you don't know if it's gonna help you or not, because sometimes I hit it and it would be like so pure, but then the consistency is not there. So I'm not sure if it's not enough reps or if it's like just more difficult to do. Definitely, if I pull it off, it's definitely like it's the compression on my iron shots are much better, but I feel like the consistency wise is not there yet, and it's like the analogy that I used earlier, like if I just got up out of that bed and someone told me to hit a shot, like I wouldn't use that, because that would be a little bit too hard for me. It's not natural, It's something that you got to put in the effort to become a habit until then you wake up out of your bed and just hit it, and you would do that thing.
How old are you now? Are you 33 now?
34. Yeah.
34. Okay. A lot of golf pros, at some point and even if they're making money or they're above water with it, a lot of times, like, somebody that I've been following for a long time, all of a sudden I'll see like their avatar has changed and they're wearing like a suit. I'm like, oh no. And then you go to their profile and it's like real estate,
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that guy? I was like, well, it happened to my friend in Arizona and he's good,
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I can't believe it, and he's like, call me for your real estate needs. And my other friend who won the U.S. Amateur, the same thing. He was on the tour. He was, kind of like wallowing or whatever, journeyman's kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden one day I saw him, in that avatar with the suit.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, do you think that if you weren't like, so after you won in India, it's almost you become like a national hero of Indonesia. Do you think that if you were just like, if you weren't Indonesian, do you think that you would have like stuck with it as long as you have, as far as having the whole country behind you in a way?
I don't know if it's actually, I don't think it has anything to do with Indonesian or being Indonesian. It's just more like the love for it. Like for me, it's growing up, my dad always wanted me to be a professional golfer. It was his dream, and then it became my dream, kind of thing. And I think for most people, those guys that you mentioned, they were really good, and then they had a few lean years and they kind of pack it in. I think the breaking point is probably they're probably trying to start a family or something, and then that's always the breaking point for most people. And then you start thinking, how do I get stable income for my family? How do I feed my kids and stuff like that? That's when you start to really think about that. But I mean, for me right now, I'm still I'm still chasing after it. Of course, like at this age, like anytime you start playing bad, you're already thinking about.
No.
Yeah, you're already thinking about, what am I doing out here? Like midlife crisis, kind of thing. As long as and then I keep telling myself, as long as I'm doing my best and I have a plan, as far as where I think is the breaking point for me, age wise, and also like kind of where I want to go with my life afterwards. If it's not like done till then I gotta pack it in as well. I don't want to keep doing this my whole life. If I don't see any progress moving forward, it's like a business kind of like, because golf, like people who play on golf tours, it's not like you're working for anyone. We're like in a circus, right? We're like higher performers, right? If you don't perform, you're not gonna get paid. It's a tough life. Actually, it's funny. Like on the plane, I was watching King Richard for the first time, the movie about
Venus and Serena
yeah,
Williams.
dude, that was like that really like hit
Yeah.
hard here. But I mean, on a different
Yeah,
level.
well, you know all
Different
those
level, yeah.
spots too.
Oh
You
yeah,
know
yeah,
the whole scene, the
yeah,
LA scenery.
yeah.
You know all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not Compton, but like a little better area. But still, like I can relate like the experiences that I had with my dad growing up. You know, the sacrifices that we had to make, the dream that he kind of created for me.
You were talking about like your dad and you. When do you think it stopped being just his dream and it really became your dream too? Because Tim and I were talking about it before, where some golfers you see them and they're kind of like managed golfers as juniors, whereas like they're
Yeah,
good, but like they go to like UC Irvine or something like that, and all of a sudden the dad's not around and they don't have that inner drive to do it
right.
themselves.
Yeah.
When was the moment that you realized like, hey, I'm not just doing this, for my dad or for anybody other than, but like I want it. This is something I really want.
Yeah, I think having early success as a junior really helped because when I was in high school, like I won the CIF title and not the CIF, but like the Southern section and also the one after that. And then that was a big thing, like at my school, and they announced it and all that. And all of a sudden, I got really popular in school. And obviously, with success, it's really easy for me to assimilate it into my dream as well. Because, now I want to do it. Like now I can see like what's gonna happen if I do achieve that dream. Right. So it's a little bit easier for me in that sense because of the early success. Um, I think the turning point was probably, 12, 13, 14. I think 13 when I won the drive through and putt, the little kids competition thing that they have in Augusta now. They used to have it just like in Orlando, and we go to Disney World and stuff. And that was like the first big break that I had.
How old were you then?
I was like 12, 12, 13.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And Tony Finau was actually playing that year, and he was doing the fire dance, and he was only like 13. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
He did the fire dance
He did the
before
fire
he did
dance.
his competition.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
you ought to keep that going on the tour.
Yeah. It looked dangerous, but he's very, very, very athletic. I remember he hit it like 260 when he was like at that time, but he kept hitting it out of bounds. I guess he was like really nervous. He topped the first shot and then like hooked like the next two shots, so it didn't count. So I was lucky, and I hit mine like 230. It's actually a pretty interesting competition, that one, because they go around the country to like recruit the junior players, and then you go if you qualify, they pay for your airfare and all that to go to Orlando and Disney World tickets. I guess that's the breaking point for me. Like when I knew like I want to do this as well.
Go ahead, Tim.
No. Just taking it all in. Remembering the dream, remembering what it was like to gaze at the stars and go, one day I will have a Gulf Stream and trot around the world with beautiful women on my arm, playing professional golf. And now I sit in economy class, squashed between two people who haven't showered in a month. Can't wait to get to the next event and talk about other people live my dream.
Yeah, right. So Rory, tell us what's going on for you now, and kind of where are you with your golf game right now?
Golf game wise, I mean, I'm not hitting it great. I mean, to be honest, like I'm averaging like 12 greens, which is not good enough. 11 and 12 greens. That's basically my weakness this year. Is just my iron shots. That's kind of like I feel like if I can figure that out, I can be back to contending again. I've shot some good scores this year, but not in 4 rounds. I've shot 63, 64s, but lowest round in 4 rounds this year is 19 under par. But it's like the last few tournaments I missed the cut because I keep shooting like 1 over 2 over par. And the tournaments that I've played in there were some really good players too that played. So the cut was always like 3 to 4 under par. And it seems like I always just seem to just miss out on the weekend. But I feel like I'm not that far away, just that one. Same thing like in India. Like I wasn't playing well before, and then found something that clicked. And like Laurie told me before, you've done it before. You've beaten all those guys, and that's always going to be like you're always going to know that you can beat them. And now it seems like that's kind of like the mentality that I always have. I don't feel inferior. to the other players that are on the field, I feel like I can beat them. I think that's a big plus for me. So I feel like if I can just find the game that I'm looking forward to playing, I should be able to contend.
Let me get your insight a little bit into some things to try to help regular golfers get better. Because you've tried everything. Like you're like a tour version of me almost, only much better. But you've tried everything. You've had lessons from probably over 24 coaches, right?
Oh yeah. If I didn't have lessons from them, I'd probably just like try to snoop on them on Instagram or like YouTube. Yeah.
Yes, some kind of interaction.
Yeah.
So, of all the stuff you've seen, what do you think really matters and is a way that people can start thinking about how to get the club face more square at impact? Because I feel like that's the number one thing. Like, even if your swing is whatever, if we could figure out a way to get the club face more square, at least like, missing straight is like something you can actually play the game with.
There's more than one way to do it, right? In golf, there's a myriad of ways to do it, and it seems like coaches nowadays, they try to there's one-dimensional coaches, and there's a few that try to label different stuff, different patterns, but it still doesn't work, because the PGA Tour guys that we see, or the guys that are playing well on tour, they don't abide to any rules. Kind of like they're almost like a hybrid of each different pattern. So you can't really, I mean, unless you're Adam Scott or unless you got a pretty swing, you can't really define like what really makes it work, right? But for me, so far in my research, I feel like one of the most important things in golf is to square the club is your wrist action, right? It's like, do you cup it going back? And if you do cup it, then how do you return that to square? And a lot of people nowadays, they like to teach a method where you try to bow your wrist and try to hold it.
Yeah, they were showing like last year or 2 years ago, they were showing like, look, of the top 10 guys, like there's Colin and Xander and John Rahm and Dustin Johnson. It was like so many of the guys were like this. So then on the range, you saw everybody doing this.
Yeah, I mean, that's one pattern to do it. That's definitely one way to do it. And it seems like it would make more sense. I feel like for people who bow the wrist, it's easier to hit draws, and it's easier to start the ball straight or a little bit right of it and try to draw it in. But for people who cup it, I feel like sometimes you start it to the left and you start to fade it back to the target. I mean, it really depends how you bring it back. If you bring it back this way, then you got to find your pattern to bring it back to square. If you bring it back this way, then you got to find a pattern to bring it back to square. It's all about matchup. I think you hear that term a lot nowadays. Matchup. It's true. It's all about matching up what you got, really.
So Tim had said something about it. Here I have this hack motion device.
Yeah, it's there.
So, yeah. So I've had this for a month and a half.
Experimenting, so I have it.
I like it a lot.
I fully expected the room to look like that.
Yeah, the pan over. Yeah, Rory is one of the most quarantined people on earth. Like over the last 2 years, you have been in quarantine almost more often than you haven't been.
Yeah, so
but 4 more days in Taiwan. Well, 3 more.
So if anybody wants to go to hackmotion.com and you use the promo code BeBetterGolf, all one word, you get free international shipping anywhere in the world.
I didn't know you're working with them. I could have bought it off of you.
Yeah, you could have gotten free shipping at least. So so what I've been doing is, because everybody talks about in transition, like I took this class from John Sinclair, and he talks about in transition, Shane Lowry is going to go from here to there. Rahm is going to go from here to there. Everybody's working towards this direction, right? Towards flexion. So this is extension, this is flexion. So everybody is working the left wrist this way. But what I didn't get is that, and the help hack motion helped me with, is that what I thought was the top was actually, I had already been moving left. Like I was doing this way too early. I need to keep this cup in my wrist for a long, long time. What were some of the initial insights that you saw with it?
The zero graph looked like a W. The zero flex, you start with your wrist extended, like obviously, right?
Hmm.
But does it drop off like at P2?
Oh yeah, I'll tell you exactly. I start with my wrist at about 15 degrees
Yeah,
cupped, right?
yeah.
And then as I take it away, it goes all the way down to like 4.
Okay.
And then at the top, it goes back up again to about 12 or so.
Okay. Yeah.
And then so
So it's
so
a
anyway,
W.
but then like I saw Milo's action, this guy Milo Lines who does a lot of
Yeah,
golf
yeah.
videos with me, and he's a real good hitter of the ball. And his takeaway is very flat, and then it gets all dynamic once he starts moving, you know. And I'm thinking that's more the way to go because my hands get too far away from my right leg on the way back, and when they get too far away from the right leg, then the left wrist starts to flatten, and then I got to find this again so that I can do that motorcycle move that I was talking about.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I was working on last week. I've been chatting with Scott Cokes, who's, probably the biggest proponent of this thing. And I was showing him my graph, and it drops off like a W, kind of like the same thing like yours, start inflection and
Okay.
then there and then come back. But I don't know, I'm not 100% sold that I actually do that because I actually try to set up another phone so I can sort of double check if the information that
Yeah, that's the thing that I wish it had. Like, because a lot of times you hit shots on
yeah
it, and you don't know, or which one of these was my good shot,
yeah
you know?
it's like well it's
So
like
you would like to see the video of it at the same time.
yeah it's like it's telling me I'm doing this, but like I could have sworn I didn't do that because I was trying to deliberately like feel like this, but it was still showing me like that. What you're saying with Milo is what Scott would describe as option A. Option A player is
Okay.
the people who keep their kind of like
Kind of flat lined on the
it's
way
like
back with
Tiger.
the wrist angles.
Like Tiger always says, you got to keep your left wrist angle from P1 to P2 and all the way to the top. That's kind of like an option A thing.
Okay.
And then you kind of drop off. You try to go into flexion and supinate and all that. That's option A. That's actually I try to do that, and it's actually really good for my iron shots. But it's kind of hard to do when you get to a hole where you can't miss it right. And I feel like people who cup it always have a tendency where if you go too fast, it's gonna go high and right.
And plus too, like as far as the high right shot, when you do that move that they all like, so with in the right hand now, they like extension and supination like this, right? And that kind of scoops under the ball a little bit. It doesn't square the face. So it's like this kind of move is like puts you in a scary spot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still in the process of because I don't come from I wasn't doing that before hack motion. I was doing more of like the DJ kind of thing, like Xander. I don't really go.
Mhm.
I don't go this way and then on the downswing do that. I kind of set it here and I just unhinge it on the way down. I feel like it's a simpler way to do it, but it's pretty interesting though how your wrist action kind of affects your body motion. A lot of people nowadays say that okay, you want to be like bowed here and then you gotta like turn and burn. But it's kind of like I find it the opposite. If you're bowed like John Rahm, you have to undo that bow at impact. If you look at like Dustin Johnson, he's like probably 40 degrees flex like this, but by the time he gets to like P6, P7, he's already almost flat. So he's going from like bow to here.
Yeah, I think about 6 or maybe even like just before 6. That's like the point of maximum whatever.
Yeah.
Maximum flexion in this.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. But then from there all the way through the ball, you're going like this.
You're slapping it. Yeah, you're slapping it.
Yeah.
So the club's going past you, and so to me it doesn't really make sense. People who teach like, oh, you got a bow and then you got to turn all the way and hold the bow. Like, where are you gonna get the club at speed? You're just gonna like swipe across it. So So when you release this bow, you go into like flexion this way. The club is swinging past you, so it's almost like you're stalling a little bit with your body and you're letting this fling past you. Whereas if you go for option A and you go like slightly cup this way, I find it that it's a lot easier to turn through with my chest. It's not perfect yet. It's still like, it's a work in progress. It's not really.
Of course.
I tried it like for a couple of rounds last tournament.
I think kind of what you're saying is right, but where you're saying the wrist angles can affect the body.
Yeah.
I think the perfect the thing that I've seen that's perfect is that if you can move your pressure in such a way that and your wrist is relaxed enough that all that these wrist angles and things are just kind of happening because of how you're moving your body more so than you actually mechanically putting your wrist into a certain spot.
I feel the opposite actually. I feel like if I go and I go into extension this way, it actually affects my balance. So
Okay.
people who actually extend their left wrist actually get more of your weight towards your heel in the backswing. Whereas people who bow it, they tend to get their head moving forward and down this way on the backswing. If you look at like
Okay.
Dustin and John Rahm and all that, they seem like they dip down forward and their arms start to rise up because of the flexion of the lead wrist. Whereas people
Okay.
like if you look at Hogan and people who cup it, like Trevor Immelman, Hogan, and maybe Rory, they get their hands really deep here. So it's actually they turn more level this way because of I feel like it's because of what they do with their hands that they're doing that.
Yeah.
It's almost like
And that
yeah
kind of goes to a lot of golf teachers have told me that like the whole reason that golf is so hard and everything is because of the face. Like in baseball or things with no face, you can be like real athletic,
yeah
but like kind of like I think your body can tell the position of the face, and if it's in a certain spot, you think you maybe you'll start moving to accommodate.
yes
You'll be
exactly
like, oh, if I want to hit this, okay,
yeah
gotcha.
exactly. It's like how do you you want to rotate, but the club's already shut. If you keep rotating, that's gonna go way left, right? So you got to like block it off and try to start it down the
Yeah,
line.
it's weird because that was the big thing on TV was, hey, these guys that are shut like this, you have to be like the ultimate rotator
No, I feel
and athletic body mover in order to
yeah
basically get it stuck on purpose
yeah.
and then get so open that that you don't flip it shut.
I actually have it. I mean, I don't know how other people feel about it, but I feel like if I get it bowed this way, I got to do a lot of pull down to get it neutral. Whereas
Yeah,
if
and then
I'm
rock and block the body.
yeah, if I'm here, I feel like I can turn a little bit more level because this because if you're here at the top or if you're like staying extended here, then on the downswing you're gonna go more into supination, and when you're supinating, your body's gonna rotate.
Oh, okay.
If you're going from flexion to like extension slap this way, I feel like your body's kind of stalling instead of
Okay.
rotating, right? So if you're going from cup to supinate, it helps your body to turn through the ball. I mean, that's just like from my findings, anyways.
No. For this last part, Rory, I just want to ask you a little bit about speed and ball speed and everything. I know that you go through periods of time when you're like, okay, I don't hit it far enough. This is not acceptable. I'm going to do everything I can, super speed stakes, everything, to try to get more distance. And then you go through long periods of time where you just don't even think about it and you just
Oh
try to
yeah.
like hit the ball the best you can. The golf metrics kind of people, they'll say how important it is to hit the ball further
Mm.
in the pro golf game. Where's your mind at as far as speed goes right now?
I mean, if you can do it without without risking your accuracy, go ahead and do it. I feel like for me, there's a point of diminishing return if I just try to keep training distance. It actually ruins my timing and my golf swing a little bit. I mean, I've spoken to a few people about this on tour, and they feel the same way. Accuracy is way more important than distance when you're on tour. Consistency and accuracy always is always better than just going long. So you kind of gotta like tread carefully when you're looking for distance. I think the best way for you to gain distance is to do what Matt Fitzpatrick was doing. It's almost like he's done it unconsciously because of the program that he was into, swinging that hybrid length speed stick for a number of sets.
The
It's kind of like
You mean the stack system?
yeah, the stack system. It's kind of like more like a workout than natural like Bryson going at it full bore all the time. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
it was more like a workout for him, and that way it's probably a little bit safer because you don't have to alter the timing of your golf swing, and you don't have to change your golf swing, right? You can still maintain the accuracy that you had before. If you get that speed stick that's a driver's length, Most people are going to come out of their posture trying to get speed, whereas if you keep the length like a little bit shorter, you can stay in posture and turn through and try to get faster without ruining your swing shape. If you know what I mean. I haven't tried it. I haven't bought the thing, but I have a speed stick.
It makes sense because whenever you see somebody like pick up a kids club, like a little kids club, and swing it, like it's a really good looking swing. What's on deck for you next? Where you're somewhere in the world now, getting ready for another golf tournament. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm in Taipei. We got to do like a 3-day quarantine. So I flew in yesterday. Hopefully, I get out by Monday, and then we have 2 weeks here in Taiwan, and then a month off in October, and then we're actually going to go to Egypt on November, which is going to be pretty cool. It's kind of like a bucket list thing for me.
That's cool.
Probably go see the pyramids or something, see if it's real.
Ride a camel. Yeah, that'll be cool. Find alien artifacts, right?
Yeah, try to find out how they did it.
In ancient times, these are the way that ancient Egyptians tried to get more flexion on their downswing.
I know. Tim's brain is just like spinning during that conversation.
Go to Morocco.
These guys are lost.
Morocco, then Egypt.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. Cool. Final word, Tim. Before we go, I just want to say I want to give a compliment to you guys because since I've been starting talking to Tim, I've been saying up like at around midnight our time on the West Coast is when the Asian Tour comes on Golf Channel here. So for the East Coast, it's not really convenient because it's already like 3 a.m. But it's like perfectly the time. It goes till midnight here. So I watched that entire tournament. It was a great tournament in Japan that Rory was at as well. And the course was looking really cool. And the guy, Bandit. The Bandit.
Yeah.
God, watching that guy play golf was just awesome. And you're seeing so many really interesting, good players come out of Thailand recently, and he's one of them. So I was shocked. I thought he was going to win, but that was really cool. Rory, where's your favorite course that the Asian Tour goes to? The one that you end up looking forward to the most?
Probably Tim's backyard, Sentosa. I like any courses.
It's not. I mean, it's literally my backyard. I don't have the money to be a member there, even though I am playing there in about an hour's time.
That's the Singapore Masters. Is that
the Singapore Open course? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's always a nice track. Really nice range and everything.
Don't you like my home course, Rory?
Rory, I didn't see the first hole. It's an inside joke. Long story.
We should probably fill Brandon and the listeners in. So after the 2 weeks we had in Singapore at the start of the year, I think we had a week off before we went to Saudi. So I go, hey Rose, let's go play my home track because he's sticking around Singapore for a while. So I texted him the details. Say, yeah, I got the first group out. We're playing with the general manager of the Singapore Golf Association, who's a former. I believe he was a gold medalist when we won the SEA Games a couple of years ago. Turned pro and then sacked up to the corporate life. And the other guy's a really good guy who just turned pro called Nicholas Cham. So I text Rory and he says, all right, I'll show up there. But Rory was so used to staying on Sentosa for the 2 weeks that he thought that my club was 5 minutes away from the hotel.
Yeah.
So,
oh, no.
So we all rock up and we're on the first tee and it's supposed to be me and the general manager against the two, youngin' pros. Well, Rory's no spring chicken. I text Rory, I go, where in the blue hell are you? And he's like, oh, I left the hotel at 7. I'm stretching in the taxi and I should be there by the second tee. He gets on the second tee and we his partner halves the first hole and he domes his first drive of the day like 90 yards.
90 yards.
Yeah.
I was like,
here's the tour pro.
You do realize if you lose to me today, I get your card and you gotta go sit behind the mic. And
Right.
and we had a really good time and I think I must have had 10 beers that day. And,
18.
Birdied the last to halve the match.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
I think I saw that on social media.
And,
You guys
That's
posted
because
about that. Yeah.
Swing your swing, play your game. There's no chance I hit it dead straight at that flags. I had to hook it 40 yards
oh yeah,
in the middle of the fairway.
he went Bubba on that last hole, and then
I went full Bubba. I went part Bubba, part John Daly through the whole day, but it was good fun.
Yeah, you definitely had the John Daly part. You got 1 can per hole, I think. They can't.
Yeah.
You had him counted at 18 beers.
It balances me with the one hand chip. You gotta have the beer if you're gonna chip one hand.
Okay, right. Oh yeah, that's where I was at. That round was when I was
Actually,
introduced to you.
I don't even know the GM's name. You keep calling him GMAC, and I saw him in
Yeah,
at Tanamera. I'm like
his name's
GMAC.
his name's
I don't.
Joshua.
Yeah, okay, right. Yeah,
And
I don't even know his
we called him GMAC because the year that he qualified to play the Singapore Open, he's hitting balls next to GMAC, and he's always loved GMAC's golf game. And GMAC's got a white shirt on, and Joshua's warming up, and he peels this perfect divot out with a wedge, and it flips across and lands on GMAC's shirt.
That's funny.
He goes, "Yeah, I'm not going to ask him for an autograph." So ever since then, we've called him GMAC.
All right, well, this was really great, Rory. Thank you so much for joining me. And everybody who's watching this, go follow Rory on social media. He has two different handles that he goes by, but just what's your main one, Rory?
Main one is Rory Hie, but I mean, if you want like online lessons, just look me up at Swing Analysis 2.0. I'm more like a subscription now, so here we go. So I just
He's
post
scaling
like
the business, Brandon. He's scaling the business.
I know.
I
Quit pro golf and
no.
be the Be Better Golf Asian correspondent.
No, it helps fund my travels as well, so it's good.
All right, and you guys be sure to follow Tim on Instagram as well at the Blonded Dragon or the Blonde Dragon on Instagram, and that's really it. So thanks for watching and listening, everybody. See you later.
See you.